Elena Sterling doesn't love me. She won't hold our son. She doesn't seem to care about my career at all. Whenever a reporter asks her about me in public, she just tightens her lips and doesn't say a word. During one of our arguments, I asked her with a dry, bitter laugh, "Elena, am I not even worth mentioning to your friends? Is it because I'm not presentable enough, or do you just think I'm not good enough for you?"
I have a PC
Her eyes
there
would
and a
always
PC
tear
there,
up
and
as she tried to explain.
It flows the buns.
"Mark, please don't make a scene. Can you just wait a little longer?" I laughed until I was literally crying. "Then let's just get a divorce." The day I was rushed into emergency surgery was the same day our son was born via a surrogate. Elena was nowhere to be found. When I woke up from the anesthesia, I looked at the baby in the bassinet next to me, then shifted my eyes to Elena's aunt. She was frowning, dialing a number over and over again on her cell phone. But the call never went through. "Auntie, please stop calling. It's fine," I said. The whole situation felt increasingly ridiculous. "She's not coming back." Today was the first stop on violinist Caleb Rivers' UK tour.
Only 6 more
Last night,
hours
after
to go?
pulling an all-nighter
For
to
what?
finish a massive
20
project,
hours?
Elena didn't even come home. She had booked the
24
first
hours
flight to London
easy?
just to see her old crush's opening night.
This is why, like, I don't even care.
My
about
phone
the
screen
fucking
lit up
Uber, because
silently
you
with a
guys
news
are
alert.
just so much fucking
Violinist
better in it
Caleb
than I am.
Rivers'
You like
first
North
tour stop,
Lane?
a massive success. I put on my
Stick to
headphones
the,
and played the
did
interview
attack,
did
clip.
you-
there's
did
less
you play
people
this?
fighting over
On
it.
camera, Caleb
This is just
smiled
a
with
playlist.
total confidence.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was
you
good
played
looking
this.
in a
I do
champagne-colored
like this.
suit,
Yeah,
his smile
again,
warm
like,
and
the people
gentle.
that are looking
Thank
at the
you, everyone.
leaderboards,
I'm thrilled to kick off the tour here
I'm
and
not
to
even
receive
in
such a
their
wonderful
realm.
response.
I don't know, like
It's
it
a
all
huge
kind of
honor.
like starts to like fucking
A reporter
blend
followed
together.
up with a smile. "Mr.
They're
Rivers,
Australian?
we saw
Don't
many
like 'em.
industry veterans backstage supporting you. Who would you most like to thank?" Caleb gave the
them
camera a
bobbies,
soft smile.
boy.
There we go. Took him away.
I'm
Don't like 'em.
incredibly grateful
God
to
damn
all
it.
the mentors and friends who came. He paused for a moment,
I was gonna say,
as
if
if
it was a
choosing
bot
his
lobby,
words
let me
carefully.
fucking fly the little bird.
But this
Fucking
time,
farm shit.
the
I don't
person
give a
I want to
fuck. I
thank
can
the
go into
most is a
leaderboard.
friend I've known for many, many years. Caleb looked up, staring right into the lens. There's so much I don't know how to say to her in person, so I'll take this special opportunity today. His voice shook just a little. He seemed to choke up for a second. Even though back then, we went our separate ways due to things we couldn't control, in my heart, she will always be my best friend. I want her to know that I've always known she is a very, very good person. My heart skipped a beat. A cold numbness spread down to my fingers. I opened the comments section. It was flooded with top-rated posts. OMG, Caleb Rivers is totally talking about Elena Sterling, right? It's so obvious. Definitely her. They were such a perfect couple back in the day. The violin prodigy and the high society heiress. Total tragic romance goals. Friends? Who's he? Kidding? You can see in his eyes he's still in love. Sobbing. You never get over the one that got away. Her first love is her first love. No one can compete. Elena Sterling is so devoted. She flew out overnight just for his concert. Turns out even powerful CEOs have someone they can't let go of. I bet Mr. Sterling is fuming in his hospital bed right now. LMAO. That's what he gets for marrying someone who never got over her ex. Losing to the ex is so embarrassing. But it's not like Mark Sterling has any right to be upset. It was just a marriage of business convenience. That can't compete with true love. Every word felt like a direct hit aimed at me. I turned off my phone. The last bit of hope I had gone. Elena Sterling is my wife. Caleb Rivers is the guy she loved so intensely when she was young. And I am just a joke. That night, the door to my room was suddenly pushed open. I looked up. Elena was standing in the doorway. She was wearing a sharp business suit, but her hair was messy, and there were dark circles under her eyes. For a moment, our eyes met. I looked away. The baby nurse was holding our son, cooing at him softly. Seeing Elena, she smiled. "Congratulations, Ms. Sterling. It's a boy." Elena glanced at the child, her expression completely flat. "Is he healthy?" Mrs. Higgins, the nurse, had expected Elena to want to hold the baby and started to hand him over, but Elena had no intention of taking him. Mrs. Higgins awkwardly pulled her hands back. "All his vitals are normal. Even though he was premature, his weight is good, so he doesn't need an incubator." Elena nodded. "Thank you for your hard work. Could you take the baby out for a bit? I need to speak with Mark." Then, in a tone that sounded like she was in a board meeting, she instructed her assistant standing at the door. "Contact the PR department and prepare a statement announcing the birth of a son to the heir of the Sterling Group. Also, using the list I finalized, donate a total of $100 million in batches to the various charities. And that foundation proposal I wrote can be implemented. Start the process tomorrow." Elena was always systematic. She never showed any emotion. Even faced with the birth of a new life, she showed no excitement or nerves. She just kept arranging everything in her usual orderly way. I once thought that maybe, just maybe, I was different to her. Even just a little. After all, I loved her so much. But in the end, I had overestimated my own importance. The assistant closed the door on her way out. The huge room was silent, except for the sound of Elena and me breathing. The scent of the white and green roses on the table hung in the air, but the atmosphere was unbearably heavy. "Mark." Elena walked closer, her face full of apology. "I'm sorry I didn't get back in time. I was on the plane all day. I didn't see the calls or messages." "Elena," I said, my voice far calmer than I'd expected. "Let's get a divorce." "What?" Elena froze, a look of total disbelief in her eyes. "Mark, are you joking with me?" Under the harsh hospital lights, her exhaustion seemed even more obvious. "I know I let you down, but I truly didn't mean for it to happen. Mark, I had planned everything. As soon as I finished that project proposal, I was going to take a break from work and stay home with you. I never thought you'd have a sudden medical emergency. I never thought you'd almost die on the operating table. I'm sorry, I was careless." Elena spoke earnestly, her logic clear, with a sincerity that felt like it belonged in a business contract negotiation. If I weren't Mark Sterling, if I hadn't waited for her for years, if I hadn't seen that interview, maybe I would have believed her. But now I was done lying to myself. I cut her off, taking a deep breath to control my emotions. "Elena, that's not the reason. It was never the reason." Elena didn't try to explain further, but she didn't leave either. She sat on the sofa by the window and casually took a laptop out of her briefcase, as if she were handling work, or maybe reading her own tabloid news. Her staying here was a silent apology, an attempt to bring the temperature down. But what I needed was never any of this. The hospital room was quiet, filled only with the sound of our breathing. Caleb Rivers said Elena was a very, very good person. Perhaps she was, but her goodness was saved for someone else. When they were young, Elena liked Caleb. After she married me, she never mentioned his name again. But with me, she was never passionate, always distant. "Elena," my voice was painfully scratchy. "Get out. I don't want to see you, and get a divorce agreement drawn up as soon as possible." This time I was setting Elena free, and I was setting myself free. From outside the door, our son's crying pierced the air. Mrs. Higgins brought the baby to me, and I patiently soothed him. Guilt was nearly killing me. I thought my son would be the happiest child in the world. I would give him a great family, always cherish him, love him, and unconditionally give him the best of everything. My relationship with Elena had been improving. I thought we were finally on the right track. Apparently not. My son was born into my hopeful anticipation. I thought his mother would be just as overjoyed at his arrival. But reality slapped me hard across the face. I was wrong. So incredibly wrong. Outside, the rain had stopped at some point. I took the bottle Mrs. Higgins handed me and carefully placed it at Jack's lips. Jack. That's the name I gave him. His mother, it seemed, did not welcome him. But that was okay. Even without Elena, my own family was more than wealthy. As long as I was alive, I could ensure my son a life of luxury. I wasn't asking for anything else. I just hoped he could live a happy and peaceful life. The next day at noon, there was a knock on the door. A woman introduced herself as an employee from Elena's company named Sarah. Sarah had a sharp, short haircut, dimples when she smiled, and a very friendly vibe. She was holding a bouquet of pink roses so fresh you could almost see the dew on them. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling. Ms. Sterling ordered these flowers especially for you. I just picked them up from the florist." She worked quickly, filling a vase with water and arranging the flowers one by one. Next, she took a velvet jewelry box from her tote bag, placed it on the table next to me, and opened it carefully. "Mr. Sterling? Ms. Sterling personally bid on this at an auction last month. She said emeralds are your favorite." Before me lay a dazzling emerald ring. The emerald at its center was impressively large, surrounded by a halo of smaller diamonds that glittered under the lights. Anyone could see it was a high-quality piece, perfect for a collection. In the past, I might have been happy, thinking Elena was paying more attention to me. But after yesterday, I would never flatter myself again. That kind of humiliation was something you only needed to endure once. Ms. Sterling was incredibly busy at the time, but she went to the auction house herself. She said she wanted to prepare a surprise for you with her own hands. "Thank you," I said, not refusing the gift. The girl seemed bright and spirited, without a trace of the burnout you see in most office workers. She must have just started her job. I didn't want any more entanglements with Elena. But why make things difficult for an employee? Elena didn't have any male secretaries or assistants. She said she wasn't good at interacting with men. This girl must have been pulled from the front desk. If I didn't accept, she'd have to explain it to Elena. Failing a task would be a blow to the young woman. "Mr. Sterling, Ms. Sterling has several meetings today that she couldn't postpone, so she asked me to come. Don't worry, she'll come see you and the baby as soon as she can tonight." Her expression was a little conflicted. I nodded to show I understood. Looking at the priceless jewel, enough to make any man's heart skip a beat, I suddenly felt tired. The ring wasn't a gift, it was compensation. Elena was trying to smooth things over, to make up for my hurt. She always did this. Every conflict between us, every time I was disappointed in her, it would always end with her trying to fix it this way. Elena always thought money and material things could mend any emotional crack, could fill any emotional void. But if what I loved was money, why would I have married her when she was at her lowest point? All I ever wanted was her love. Elena once told me she could learn to return my feelings. I believed her. I really believed her. But in the end, it was all just one big disappointment. The baby suddenly woke up, lying there surprising quiet, not crying or fussing. Sarah's attention was captivated. "Wow, he's so cute. How can a newborn be so fair and have such a perfect nose? Mr. Sterling, I'm so jealous of you and Ms. Sterling. You get to come home to such a handsome baby." I smiled and thanked her. But the joy was followed by a vast sense of loneliness. Elena didn't like this child. Why would she be happy to see him? Mrs. Higgins took the baby out of the room. "Sarah," I said, looking up at her, finally deciding to speak. "Thank you for making the trip. When you get back to the office, could you give her a message for me?" Sarah's expression suddenly turned serious. "Of course, Mr. Sterling. Tell her that everything I said last night was real." I met Sarah's eyes directly. "I want a divorce." It wasn't a bluff. It never was. When I love someone, I'm willing to give my all. When I stop loving someone, I will do everything I can to pull away. Not a single word I said was false. "Mr. Sterling," Sarah lost her earlier composure, her voice trembling slightly. "Did you say a divorce?" "Yes," I confirmed again. Saying it out loud felt like a weight had been lifted from my chest. It was no longer stuck there, stabbing me with pain. "Please tell her to prepare the divorce agreement as soon as possible." At this point, I was done loving Elena Sterling. This long journey toward her was over. I was ending it unilaterally. Maybe it should have been this way from the start. I should have given up 5 years ago when I walked toward her without hesitation, and she never returned my affection. All these years of waiting felt like a stupid play. The only way to fix it was to completely erase Elena's name from my life. Sarah was silent for a very long time. Then she looked at me with an incredibly serious expression. "Mr. Sterling, there's something I've been debating whether or not to tell you. Actually, Ms. Sterling doesn't have any meetings today. She pushed all her work. She came to the hospital early this morning, but was afraid of upsetting you, so she's been waiting in the hallway this whole time. It was only then that she called me and asked me to come to the hospital to deliver some things for her. I only found out it was the flowers and the ring after I got here." I leaned back, quietly waiting for Sarah to continue. "When I saw Ms. Sterling sitting out there, I guessed you two had a fight. And I was right. She said she wanted to apologize but didn't know how. At first, I tried to convince her to come in herself and clear things up, but Ms. Sterling said she was afraid seeing her would make you angrier. So in the end, she wouldn't come in." After she finished, the atmosphere in the room turned awkward. Sarah quickly added a few more sentences. "Mr. Sterling, please don't get the wrong idea. I don't usually have much contact with Miss Sterling. I'm a receptionist at the company. She probably asked me to come because she sees me every time she comes to the office. So my face is familiar. I swear we normally never talk. At most, she might casually ask what kind of gift to get for her husband, or how to apologize to someone. But she didn't just ask me. Ms. Sterling asked our entire reception staff and her whole team of secretaries and assistants." When Sarah finished, I smiled at her. "Don't worry, I won't get the wrong idea. And I certainly wouldn't misunderstand. I'm not a petty person. I don't see a woman talking to Elena and immediately suspect an affair." Sarah was a very, very good person. From the moment she walked in full of warmth, I knew the concern in her eyes was real. Elena was good, 1 in a million, but that didn't mean everyone was in love with her. I wouldn't misunderstand Sarah. For all these years, the only person who stood in my heart was Caleb Rivers. Caleb Rivers? What kind of person was he? I had almost forgotten. If it weren't for the sensational rumors about his romance with Elena, I probably would have never even noticed someone like him existed at our school. Before I met Caleb, Elena and I were childhood friends. Our families lived close by, and we grew up together. As the only grandchild of the prestigious Sterling family of Boston, she was destined to never know financial hardship. But in the end, she wasn't lucky enough. Elena's parents had a marriage of convenience. There was no love between them. Her mother was busy having affairs with movie stars. Her father, warped by day after day of suspicion and resentment, became a completely different person. The doctor said he was bipolar. In the 5th year of their 10-year marriage, they had Elena. After that, Elena's mother became even more wild. Having a child meant her duty was done. She had no interest in the family business and only wanted a child so her parents could skip her and groom the next generation's heir. Once that goal was achieved, Elena's mother never came home again, starting a new family elsewhere. Elena's father was deeply in love with his wife and had given her all his affection. Even Elena's birth was a ploy to use a child to keep his wife from leaving. But it backfired, giving his wife an excuse to never come home. For this reason, Elena's father didn't love his own child. He even hated her, resentfully questioning why Elena even existed. Elena grew up unwanted. That's why she cherished every single one of her friends. When we were young, I always trailed after Elena. Back then, we were each other's best friends. But later, everything changed. Freshman year of high school, a new student transferred into the class next door. That person was Caleb Rivers. After transferring, he became Elena's deskmate. Elena never liked talking to strangers. But her new deskmate was impossibly outgoing. He latched onto her from the very first day, asking for help with math problems, borrowing her lunch card, her water card, taking her notes without permission when they barely knew each other. Then, just as Elena and I were almost home, he chased after us, to apologize and to return the notebook. And just like that, he found out where Elena lived. Elena rarely showed her emotions. But that day, I could tell she was angry. She hated people touching her things, but disliked confrontation. And so Caleb Rivers bulldozed his way into Elena's life. After that, Elena's attitude toward him gradually softened. When I turned 16, I invited Elena to my birthday party. She didn't come, but Caleb Rivers did. In the break room, Caleb knocked on my door holding a cheap gift. "You must be the Mark that Elena's always talking about. She says you two are really close, that she's always thought of you as a little brother." Before I could say anything, Caleb pressed a snow globe into my hand. "Let me introduce myself. I'm Elena's deskmate and her boyfriend." But Caleb gave me a playful wink. "Don't tell anyone, okay? We're just freshmen and she doesn't want to go public yet. She's afraid people will keep asking questions and it'll affect my studies." When I asked why Elena didn't come, Caleb smiled and defended her. "Don't be sad. You're both older now, so Elena thinks it's not really appropriate for you two to be as close as you used to be." It was all so matter-of-fact. His words were laced with an unspoken message for me to back off. I spent the rest of the day in a daze. Late into the night, I still hadn't received a birthday wish from Elena. I finally messaged her myself. "Is Caleb Rivers your boyfriend?" That day, I felt like a clown. I waited until dawn the next day, but no reply from Elena ever came. That small, undeclared crush I had was snuffed out just like that. The next day, I agreed to my father's suggestion to attend high school abroad. After I went overseas, I would often receive all sorts of holiday wishes from Elena. Birthday wishes, New Year wishes, holiday greetings. But the question I had asked that night, over all those years, never received an answer. We both silently forgot about that night's question, and I never replied to any of Elena's messages again. Caleb showing up uninvited to my birthday party was a clear declaration of his claim. I had no desire to be part of their jealous drama. When we were little, people would often joke that Elena and I were inseparable, like a match made in heaven, and suggest we get married when we grew up. Elena never argued. She never seemed unhappy about it. So back then, I thought she might have liked me a little too. But on my 16th birthday, I was made into a complete and utter joke. After spending 7 years abroad, I returned home with 2 first-class degrees to take over my parents' company. I hadn't been living under a rock all those years. I often kept up with news from home. Elena and Caleb's romance was occasionally a topic of discussion. I always deliberately ignored it. After graduating, Elena went to the US. Caleb somehow scraped together enough money to attend a community college abroad. I heard they broke up that year. The internet was full of posts praising their love story as a tragic romance aesthetic. The 3 of us had almost no contact for many years. At 24, my father started arranging dates for me. I was unenthusiastic, deliberately sabotaging many of the meetings. My parents' business was huge, and my resume was impressive. So there were far too many people who wanted to form a marriage alliance with me. But my heart felt dead. I couldn't muster any interest in anyone. Later, after Elena inherited her family's business, she came to me. She proposed herself. In that moment, I was completely lost. I didn't understand. I truly didn't understand. Why was she so cold when I liked her? And why, after I had faded from her life, did she insist on forcing her way back in? When I asked her why, Elena was silent for a long time. Finally, the answer she gave was that we were a good match. Our families were on equal footing, and we had a lot of history. I had excelled in both my studies and my career, and she was highly accomplished herself. We were equally outstanding. That year, my grandmother fell gravely ill and didn't have much time left. Her only dying wish was to see me married. And it was that same year that Elena was betrayed by a relative and nearly lost control of her company. It seemed like fate itself was pushing us together. But I wasn't about to rashly hand over my emotions and my marriage. During a meeting with Elena, I told her plainly, "Money? I have it. More than enough. My family's standing in our social circle wouldn't decline just because I didn't marry into another powerful family. What I wanted was love. If a marriage was just a business transaction, we would be better off as business partners, not husband and wife." Elena looked up at me, her gaze sincere. "It's absolutely not for personal gain, Mark. The love you want, I can give it to you." I left her with one last sentence. "Come talk to me about love when you're truly over him." In the adult world, no one cares if you've dated before marriage. But the moment you decide to get married, you should emotionally cut ties with the past. I didn't want any hidden dangers in my marriage. That night, Elena showed up at my door. She said, "Mark, my heart is clean." I believed her. I really believed her. And then one wrong step led to another, and another. After Jack's 1-month celebration, I brought up divorce again. Holding the divorce agreement, I went back to the old Sterling family mansion. I waited until noon, but Elena still hadn't come out of the 3rd-floor study. Left with no choice, I used my key to open the door. Elena's head snapped up almost instantly, the movement so fast it knocked over the inkwell on her desk. Black ink spilled across the book's pages, leaving a stain. "Mark." Elena's voice was impossibly hoarse. She came around the desk and hurried toward me. Before she could even speak, her eyes reddened instantly. "Mark, please don't divorce me, okay?" I stared at her without a word. Elena seemed to summon all her courage and grabbed my hand. "Mark, those entertainment headlines were all fake. That day I went to London for a contract, not to see his concert. I didn't even know Caleb had a concert that day. I was there to negotiate a deal. I had no idea the business partner was Caleb's wife. She casually mentioned her husband had a concert nearby and invited me to go along. The company had been pursuing that contract for a long time. The whole team put in so much effort. Mark, I had no reason to refuse. But I swear, I didn't know her husband was Caleb Rivers, and I didn't know I would see him. As for those romantic-looking clips online, the shots of us looking at each other, that was all just clever editing with music and filters to create a mood. Mark, I can promise you, there's nothing between Caleb and me. I have never liked him. I pulled my hand away. Elena, is there any point in saying this now? A flicker of defeat crossed Elena's face. Mark, don't you believe me? She spoke quickly, rummaging through a drawer in her desk for documents, her fingertips trembling. Here's the entire project proposal. The company did a review after every milestone. There are records of every single meeting, and this is my schedule. The trip to London to meet the partner was planned long ago. The project was nearing its end, and we just needed one face-to-face meeting to finalize the contract. Elena, I pushed all the documents back toward her. Showing me this is useless. Why is it that the countless times I needed an explanation, you were never willing to say a word, and now that I've decided to leave, you're telling me it was all fake? You had countless opportunities to clear up your past with me, but you didn't. From my surgery until now, with Jack a month old, you've had a whole month to deal with those rumors. You have the power to take down those news stories, the power to issue a clarification. You're capable of all of it. So why didn't you do anything? You just come and tell me it was all fake. Elena started to speak, but I cut her off. Elena, do you think I'm supposed to just blindly trust you forever? Even when the whole world is singing praises of your love for another man, I'm supposed to just believe you unconditionally? Then what does that make me? Your accessory. Arguing with Elena, I suddenly remembered so many things from the past. Our first public appearance after getting married, I had waited for Elena to introduce her husband to everyone. But she didn't. She just silently put food on my plate and spoke to me calmly. Later, I asked her, Elena, am I not even worth introducing to your friends? Am I not worthy, or do you think I'm not good enough for you? Am I some kind of embarrassment? Elena calmly explained, Mark, it's not like that. You are worthy. It's just, can we wait a little longer? Back then, I gave in, but I've given in too many times. I don't want to anymore. At the mention of the past, the color drained from Elena's face. Mark, is that what you think? You think I don't introduce you because I'm ashamed of you? Then why? I practically shouted. Elena, what the hell am I supposed to think? It's not like I didn't give you chances to explain, but you always just said I was misunderstanding, that I should just wait. I've waited 5 whole years for you. Are my 5 years worthless? Not even worth a single explanation from my own wife? Elena looked as if she'd been struck by an invisible hammer, her face pale. It's not like that, Mark. I never thought that. I felt like I wasn't good enough for you. Elena struggled to lift her head, tears streaming down her face. Mark, I like you. I love you, but I never thought I could truly have you. Being married to you has always felt like a fragile dream. You're so wonderful. Your family loves you. Your friends like you. So many people love you. In my heart, you are a very, very good person. I always felt like I was punching above my weight. I kept waiting until I truly deserved to stand by your side before I introduced you to everyone. Only then would I truly be worthy of you, and not just the second best option you settled for so your grandmother could pass away in peace. A suffocating silence filled the air. I actually laughed. For these 5 years I've been a fool, always trying to guess what was on Elena's mind. How many times did I wait for her to find time to talk to me, hoping she would say just a few more words? But I waited, and Elena's life was always so crowded. I never got an answer. Countless times I even thought maybe I should just give up. I don't need some elusive fairy tale love. So many people in our circle have marriages of convenience. Elena is an excellent partner for such a marriage. We're compatible in every way, the optimal choice for each other, and she was someone I once liked. Wouldn't it be fine for us to just live respectfully like this? But people are greedy. Once you get a little, you want more. I got the person I liked. Then I tried to see into her heart. In the day-to-day cycle of testing and doubting, I lost all my patience. Elena stood there, her head bowed. It felt so ridiculous. I wanted to storm out, but I bumped into a bookshelf. A thick binder fell from the top shelf, scattering its contents on the floor. My eyes immediately fell on a photograph of me, my childhood solo portrait, my first-grade school picture, a photo of me and Elena together when we were kids. I stopped in my tracks. "Mark, are you hurt?" Elena rushed to my side. I pushed her away and picked up the binder from the floor, flipping through it page by page. My childhood sketchbooks, my school projects, my random doodles, and even a perfect score test paper of mine that had once been displayed on a bulletin board. These were all trivial things buried in my memory, yet Elena had kept them all in her study. I flipped to the last page. I saw a photo I didn't recognize. Elena instinctively tried to stop me, but I had already pulled the photo from the binder. Judging by the clothes and the surroundings, it was taken on the day of my undergraduate graduation. In the photo, I was looking ahead, my hand on my graduation cap. Standing next to me was a girl in a hat and mask. She looked awkward, almost spilling out of the frame. I had no memory of ever taking such a picture, but the scene in it told me undeniably that Elena and I had indeed taken a photo together that day. Looking at Elena, I felt an indescribable emotion stirring inside me. Why does this photo exist? Elena was silent for a long time before she spoke. A few days before your graduation, you posted on your social feed about the ceremony, so I went to your school. Back then, you were a star in your university's math department. A lot of students came to talk to you and take pictures with you. I waited for a long time. When the crowd around you finally thinned out, I gathered my courage and walked over. I asked a girl standing near you if she could take a picture for me. You were busy turning to talk to someone else. The person with the camera must have felt sorry for me and just told you to stand there. I hadn't even posed properly before the shutter clicked. The details, once faded and blurry with time, rushed back into my mind with Elena's description. I remembered. Right before graduation, I had won a major math award and was being honored by the university. That day, people kept coming up to me for photos. Sometimes solo shots, sometimes big group photos. I felt like a stationary prop for photo ops, taking pictures with so many unfamiliar faces. Sometimes I didn't even notice the person next to me had changed before another picture was snapped. In competitions, there is only first place, no second. That was truly my most triumphant year. Many professors had approached me, wanting me to become their student and continue my studies. I refused without hesitation. Math was just a subject I minored in because I enjoyed it. Besides math, there were so many other things I loved, and my family urgently needed me to return home to take over the business. A huge sense of absurdity and a delayed ache gripped my heart. I looked at Elena and laughed until tears streamed down my face. "Elena, you make me feel like a complete joke, hiding all these photos in a binder. You don't actually think that's romantic, do you?" Tears kept rolling down my cheeks. I wiped them away again and again. "You like me, don't you, Elena? Tell me, is that it? But why didn't you tell me?" My voice choked as I moved closer to her. Watching me silently love you. Watching me get closer and closer to you. Even watching me marry you in a suit. From our youth until now, Elena, you never show your feelings. You just let me guess silently for all these years. Every time I tried to have a real talk with you, you always avoided it. Countless times I opened my heart to you, just wanting to hear you say something honest, even just one explanation. But what did I get? You were always so calm. Mark, can you please not make a scene? Just wait a little longer, okay? Now is not the time to talk about this. I had heard those words too many times. I didn't want to hear them anymore. For countless nights, all I got was evasion and silence. 10 years, my voice dropped to a whisper. I loved you for 10 whole years, Elena. If my love in the early years was unrequited and my own damn fault, what about the 5 years after we got married? Elena, couldn't you tell I loved you? Did you think you were the only one who knew the pain of loving someone you couldn't have? Seeing you so high and mighty, so reserved, so untouchable, I didn't even have the courage to question you. Elena, is it so hard to just tell me you like me too? Or does watching me constantly feel insecure because of you give you a sense of accomplishment? Is that it? Elena's voice trembled violently. I had never seen her cry so wretchedly. No, it's not like that. Mark, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were in such agony. I never meant to hurt you. I thought love didn't need to be spoken, that as long as two people felt the same way, it was enough. My father, on the other hand, kept telling a woman who didn't love him how much he sacrificed for her. And it just became a burden. So I thought that as long as I was always by your side, giving you expensive gifts, shielding you from all risks, that was true love. I didn't know you were being tormented by the rumors. When I was little, my father would point his finger at me and curse me, saying I was useless, that I didn't know how to please my mother, that I was like a terrifying monster. Mark, every time, you were the one who found me at the little park and took me to your house. I've liked you ever since then. Later, my mother's illegitimate daughter cornered me and provoked me. It was you. You got a group of people and taught her a lesson. From that moment on, I could only see you. I don't know when it started, but I got used to looking up at you like I did when we were young, and I forgot my responsibilities as a wife. I'm sorry. I'm used to solving problems my own way. I was too arrogant. This time, it was my turn to be stunned. That act of kindness on a distant afternoon was something I had long forgotten. I never imagined it had taken root in Elena's heart like a silent seed. But after all these years of tangled growth, what have we gained? A bitter flower called a missed connection. I don't accept that. I don't want that outcome. Elena, have you ever thought that what I wanted was never money, nor your silent, unexpressed devotion? I don't want those expensive gifts that feel like charity and compensation. What I've wanted from beginning to end was just for you to say you care. I wanted you to tell me with your own mouth that you love me, not to leave me guessing forever. I wanted you to tell people that I am your husband, not some irrelevant person whose name you won't even mention in the news. You knew I cared about you, but you just watched me. You just watched me walk towards you again and again, watched me burn myself out in our 5-year marriage without getting a single ounce of warmth in return. The study was thick with an atmosphere of despair. A pile of old photos lay silently on the desk, looking more and more ironic. What really happened between you and Caleb? You always said it wasn't important. Can you tell me now? Caleb said he was constantly being harassed by kids from the vocational school next door. He begged me. He asked if the next time he ran into them he could say I was his girlfriend, to use my family's name to scare them off. I agreed. Mark, if I had known it would make you misunderstand, I would have never agreed. I have no feelings for him. I didn't then, and I definitely won't in the future. When did you two get so close? The whole thing felt absurd and sarcastic. Before, when he was pestering you, you clearly told me you found him extremely invasive. I had a picture tucked inside my notebook. The book fell on the floor and the photo flew out. Caleb saw it. Caleb said he knew I liked you, and that he could help me figure out a way to win you over. I agreed. I never imagined that from another perspective, the story from back then would be so different. But the years we missed will never come back. Then do you know what Caleb did? He showed up at my 16th birthday party, told me he was your boyfriend, and that he hoped I would keep my distance from you. Elena, You gave him the chance to get close to you. You let his lies grow bigger and bigger. You let him create an online account to document your love story, even if it was all made up. Did you know that back then everyone knew that account belonged to Caleb? Everyone was talking about your romance. Mark, you know I don't really follow online forums. But you couldn't have been completely oblivious, could you? Elena fell silent. Elena, on the night of my 16th birthday, I waited for you for a very, very long time. But you never came. Can you tell me now where you went? That day, Caleb said someone had asked to meet him and asked if I could go in his place to help scare them off. He kept begging me, so I agreed. And you didn't check your messages? When I asked you if Caleb was your boyfriend, why didn't you deny it? Mark, what are you talking about? Elena looked up abruptly, her face a mask of confusion. I never received any message from you. I can promise you that. Wait. Elena paused. That day, Caleb had my phone. The next day, he said he had accidentally put my phone in his backpack. Mark, I never intended to miss your birthday party. But that day those thugs hit me over the head, and a passerby took me to the hospital. The watch and card I had gotten for you. They stole everything. With all the truths laid out before me, a wave of exhaustion washed over me. Elena kept saying she was sorry, over and over, but I didn't want to hear it anymore. Let it go, Elena, I said, pausing. Let's just let it all go between us. The things that had tormented me for so many years. I suddenly didn't want to hold on to them anymore. Maybe we should have kept our distance from the very beginning. Should never have met, and definitely should never have married. A marriage born from unwillingness to let go was destined for an ugly end. Who was right and who was wrong doesn't matter anymore. Elena, let's get a divorce. To keep this going would be torture for both of us. The misunderstandings and hurt run too deep. Even if it's all cleared up now, the scars won't disappear. A broken mirror can't be made whole again. Every time we get close, it will just bring back all the painful, agonizing memories, making things ugly for both of us. Give me one more chance, please, Elena begged. We still have our son. But you don't love him, I sobbed, my voice raw. Elena, isn't he your child? Isn't Jack your son? Why won't you even hold him? You say you love me, but if you love someone, can you not love their child? When I wanted a child, I asked for Elena's opinion. She agreed with no objections at all. But now, looking at Elena's face, I couldn't see any anticipation or care for that child. Elena, you don't love our child at all. I'm sorry, Elena hugged me tightly, her tears soaking my shoulder. At first, I was so excited for our child. I thought I would love him. But when I saw him, my first reaction was fear. He's so small, so beautiful, and he looks so much like you. I'm afraid I won't be a good mother. Mark, I have the genes of parents like that. I'm afraid I'll end up hurting him like they hurt me. I love you, but I don't have the courage to hold our child. I'm afraid I'll hurt him. And when I think about how you almost died on the operating table because of your illness, I get terrified. I'm sorry, I can't bring myself to love anyone but you. No one ever taught me how to be a parent. I don't know what that feeling is. But I can learn, Mark. Give me a chance. Let me learn how to be a mother, okay? I'm just scared of him, not that I don't love him. He will be the only child I ever have. My company and my assets will all be his. I handed the printed divorce agreement to Elena. Let's not drag this out anymore. In the study, Elena and I were locked in a stalemate for a long, long time. She picked up the fountain pen on the desk, then put it down again. A tear fell with a soft plink onto the smooth paper. The nib of the pen hovered over the blank signature line. After a long while, Elena wrote her name. Elena Sterling. The two words were sharp and angular. They held a sense of defeat I had never seen before. Elena looked as if her spine had been removed. She slumped into the ergonomic chair, her body sinking into it. Outside, the sky slowly darkened. The divorce agreement was in duplicate. I took my copy. On the desk sat a wooden picture frame. The photo in it was from our wedding day. In the picture, I was leaning on Elena's shoulder, smiling brightly down at her, through faded memories and cruel years, through a grand, unsolvable missed connection that had cost me everything. I faced myself with nothing to say. The breathtaking flutter of first love had long been lost in the dust of silence and waiting, vanishing the moment I turned away. Before I pushed the door open to leave, I took one last look at Elena. The faint stirrings of our first meeting as teenagers were finally buried deep beneath the heavy dust of time. From now on, we owed each other nothing, and we would never see each other again.